Good morning, everybody. Today we're going to talk about the word cheap. And usually, if I were saying the word cheap, I would be pretty excited because it would probably mean that I had found something inexpensive, something that was a great bargain. And I love to find a good bargain. But today we're going to talk about another meaning of the word cheap. Something that has little value, something that isn't going to hold up over time, something that's easily broken, something that's worthless. Now, when I think back to the Barbie dolls that I had as a kid, each Barbie had her own career and a different story. She had a great fashion sense. But as I look at these fashion dolls that you can often find at the dollar store, I see something that is cheap. Their features aren't as well rounded. You can see that they're not going to hold up. Then I also think about the Transformers that my brother would play with as a kid. Transformers could go from a robot into some sort of a vehicle. They had a popular TV show. We've had movies made, and even a ride at Universal. But then I think about the GoBots. Now, these came out just a little bit before Transformers, but as you can see, even though they also had their own TV show, and even though they did change between two forms, neither form was as great as the Transformers. They just didn't hold up. They were cheap. And then I think about crayons. As a kid, I always loved this 64 count Crayola crayon box that had the built-in sharpener. It had all the different colors you could ever need. But then I also think about this 24 pack of basic premium crayons that are often used. These crayons are not as sturdy and will easily break. They also, when you're coloring with them, will leave the little bitty wax bits in all of the pictures you color. So let's think about if it were time for show and tell. Which of those things would you bring? Would you bring the Barbie doll or the cheap fashion doll? The Transformers or the cheap GoBots? The 64 count Crayola crayons with the built-in sharpener? Or would you bring the basic crayons that are not as sturdy, that are cheap? We would bring the best that we have. We would bring the thing that was the most valuable to us. And as Christians, it's our job to show and tell. We are to show the world all about Jesus and to tell what he has done for us. And we do that through the way that we live. The things that we say and the things that we do are how we show and tell the world. So here's the question. Do you want some cheap grace? That's what we're offering people. That's what we're showing people a lot of the time with our actions. See, when we live as the world lives, it makes God's grace seem cheap. It seems like it doesn't have very much value because it hasn't really changed the way that we live. We're still doing the things that the world does. We're still doing the things the way we did before Jesus entered our lives. And people can look at that and say, you know what? Why do I need Jesus? It doesn't seem like he's that important to you. That's not what we were designed to do. Listen to 1 Peter 4:10. It says, each of you should use whatever gift you have received to serve others as faithful stewards of God's grace in its various forms. You see, when we live out the things that are in that Bible that we read, when we do the things that we are called to do to serve others because of that wonderful grace we've been given, then we're going to paint that true picture of who Jesus is to others. Let's live in a way that shows others that God's grace isn't cheap, it's priceless.